On today's Starting Nine, we hang out and talk about baseball and life and have a great time. No need to complicate it. It's Starting Nine. Let's have a great show.
We don't technically need an outline for this show. I think you know what's going on. I know what's going on. The qualifying offer sucks. Well, for a couple guys, it's a great thing. Like Jock Peterson.
Yeah, well,
1 year, 19.65 ish. I think Jock's pretty happy with that.
when you played with him, I think you got $8 million with the Cubs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? Like 8, 9, because that was when Schwarber got they didn't pay for him, and they were like, instead of giving him the money, we're going to go give it to Jock. And both guys were very handsomely paid. Today.
Sure. And yeah, that's real nice. And regardless of where Jock lands next season, financially, this qualifying offer is an example of when it actually benefits a player. It's a 1-year deal, but it's for more than $19.5 million. And like you just mentioned, a player like himself or Schwarber, in situations they've seen themselves in last year or the year before that, I think you have to be pretty optimistic and pretty happy with where you're at.
Fuck it. Dude, all right, so appreciate you for starting off the show like this, because guys are getting paid right now. This is a great time for your friends and guys that I like watching play baseball. Anthony Rizzo's got $34 million. We'll get into more like details or whatever, but just high level, it's great. Thanksgiving's coming up, and we got a bunch of guys that have played a ton of fucking baseball in their life that are making millions and millions of bucks. Special. Good for them. Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah, and I like to see signings happen early. Take care of the boys, and pick some guys off the board. You don't want to wait around too long and say, oh, well, we had interest in Tyler Anderson, and then now he's gone. He signed his 3-year deal with Anaheim. He obviously turned down the qualifying offer with the Dodgers. He put himself in a position for a nice deal like this, worth roughly $40 million, coming off the best season of his career. So the Angels weren't messing around. They said, we want another lefty to go along. You know, I mean, they've got, so what? They're going to have 3 left-handed starters in their rotation. I believe that's correct. And that's pretty rare. I can't recall the last time I saw a starting rotation with 3 lefties. One maybe, 1 or 2. Obviously Urias and Tyler Anderson with the Dodgers this past year, but 3 is kind of taking it to a whole nother level. And maybe Anderson with some veteran experience can rub off, on the other 2 young left-handed starters they have. So I really like that move from Anaheim. They obviously need significantly more to be able to compete in that division. And we saw, the big trade, Teoscar Hernandez goes to
that's crazy.
Goes to Seattle. And it seems like a fairly balanced trade for me with, Eric Swanson going to Toronto, who's a really nice bullpen arm for Seattle. I was just looking up his numbers. I wasn't completely familiar with the season he had. Good. Yeah, I mean, in 57 games, he had about a 170 RA, 70 strikeouts in 53 2/3 innings. And then I guess, who was the other guy? A part of that deal, was he a pitching prospect, I believe?
Was it Chris Flexen? Way. Did they say Chris Flexen? I'm sorry. I'm looking up.
No,
honestly,
Adam.
You know what I'm doing right now?
Adam Mako. Adam Mako was a pitching prospect as a part of that deal. I know that Seattle's going to love that trade. I'm sure that Toronto is going to benefit from that also. Anytime you can bolster the bullpen with high quality arms, it's a good thing to do so. They take a little bit of a hit offensively. I would say Seattle probably has a slight edge in that trade, though. You got to have more offense in that division.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I want to go. Let's start. Tyler, I think both moves are the type of moves that that a lot of people are not even going to realize until some people may never even realize these moves happened. Some people live and die and watch Major League Baseball and not know that Teoscar Hernandez got traded or that he was even an all-star last
Well,
year.
they're probably just looking at the big free agent signings and not
Right.
necessarily paying as much attention to that.
Now, this is where my fucking cherries get nice and ripe, though, when we talk baseball in the wintertime, because it's super easy to sit around and be like, Aaron Judge. But, like, all right, let's talk about Tyler Anderson for a second. Now, I know Tyler Anderson. You know Tyler Anderson. I'm just going to play like I'm a random Joe off the street. Okay, Jake, you said Tyler Anderson. Why the fuck would they sign that guy? They need so much pitching help, and we gave $34 million to Tyler Anderson, and why did he turn down the call? You know, I mean, there's a lot of just I'm a moron here. I think Tyler Anderson sucks. Like, what do you think to that? I don't. I'm just saying, what do you think to people who say it?
Well, Tyler Anderson, he's 33 years old. He throws from the left side. He's got this year had a 40% ground ball rate. He had a career best ERA. He's still relatively young. You're getting him, you know, you didn't sign him for 5 or 6 years. You got him for 3 years at a relatively cheap rate. And, you know, $39 million over 3. Look, I mean, Justin Verlander is going to get that in one season. So, yeah, I mean, you could have gone out there and you could try and get guys like that, but you're going to get a tremendous amount of benefit from having a guy like Tyler Anderson for a variety of reasons. You know, his ability to keep the ball on the ground, his ability to, you know, manage a lineup. I mean, he's a veteran guy too, so it's kind of like signing a number 2 or number 3 on a budget without having to go spend, you know, 30 plus million AAV per season on another arm. So I really like that sign. And I think that the Angels knew that he was probably going to be highly sought after. So they tried to get him quickly. And that's a gamble you are willing to take or you're not willing to take with letting guys sit out there. If they sit out there too long, you're probably going to miss out. So I think we're going to see signing after signing after signing. This could be, you know, most of these guys could be signed, you know, by mid-December.
And I think historically speaking, this is the first year in a new collective bargaining agreement. And I'm not doing the research, but Scott Boras would tell you that the first year of a new collective bargaining agreement, there's like a quick spree and a ton of money. It's like the best time to be a free agent. Yeah, we are gonna go back because I have a personal question for you. Because you were like, I hope the guys sign soon and whatever. You didn't sign till February, I think, when you were a free agent. It was pretty late.
No, it was.
Or like March?
It was into March. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there like, you know, obviously there's shit you want to, go to Philly, pick out a place you're going to live, buy a watch or whatever. Was there like a group of buddies that you had been talking to like, yo, if I ever sign like a big deal, we're going to do this? Did you make any promises to friends in your life where you're like, if I ever sign that massive deal, we're going to do this or I'm going to do that, and you had to fucking do it?
No, I mean, it's a boring answer, but no, I mean, because I had already made a bunch of money before that. So we had, you know, my friends and I had been doing pretty cool shit even up until that point. You know, we did like, you know, we'd go to the mountains for a week or so here and there, like around the holidays, or we'd fly private to certain destinations. But no, we didn't have anything like that going on. Like if I signed a big deal, we're going to do this. I'd like to hear stories of guys that have that kind of on the table with their buddies, because I know it exists. Yeah, so for me personally, no. And at the time, it's like, I just want to get signed by somebody. I'm sitting here like throwing inter squads and sim games to Division III hitters and guys that are still unsigned in the area. Like, is this ever going to happen? Because you get to a certain point where you're like, I need to face real major league hitters before spring training ends, or I'm going to be super behind. And I was a little bit behind. It took me 2 or 3 weeks to really catch up, even once the season started. So yeah, I don't wish that on anybody. I know guys have gone through it before, and and it kind of happens every year. Some guys just kind of get passed up, and spring starts, they still don't have jobs. You know, you're wondering, like, am I good enough? Like, why isn't anybody signing me? But, you know, the 2018 free agent year was one in which they started to kind of reevaluate things and, you know, covet different numbers or have different projections on players' futures, which is fine. That's kind of what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to, you know, advance and look into different things. So, you know, I don't blame anybody. It was just a difficult situation for not only myself, but for a vast majority of the free agents that season. So that's why I said earlier, it's nice to see guys get signed so they can go through their offseason program, know where they're going to be playing once February rolls around, get their housing situated, get their family happy, and start a fresh season with their new ball clubs.
Yeah. Fucking. The idea of that, the 1-to-1, like the moment with yourself where you're like, you fucking did it, man. Like, you don't have to tell that story. That's not a story I'm asking you to tell or anything, but they fucking guarantee you, you know, I shouldn't even say it like that because you went through this experience, but, you know, anytime you have success, you work really hard towards something, the relationship you have with yourself as you work on that. So, like, dude, Rizzo, talk about this for a second. Rizzo gets a $60 million offer for 4 years from the Cubs. He says no. They come back $70 million 5 years, and he says no. And then he's pretty public, like, hey, I would like $100 million, or I think I'm worth more, and not a whole lot more, but I think I'm worth more. And he fucking leaves. And now, years later, or I'd say a year and a half later, I'm pretty sure the Cubs would like to have that decision back, just based on, you know, how things are shaping up. But now he's in his third year, just signed another deal. I think total earnings now are $57 million in 3 years. So again, the Cubs have 4 for 60, 5 for 70. He said, no, I'm going to bet on myself. He's around like 56, 57 through 3 years with the buyout that takes him to 60. So at present moment, Anthony Rizzo was correct.
Yeah, it's a little shocking to me that there wasn't another team out there willing to give him a longer term like contract, and
I don't think he wants it.
No, I
think he wants AAV. I think he wants AAV.
Well, if they're not going to give you the AAV or close to it, then yeah, it's not a bad idea to sign a 1-year deal with an option, or a 2-year deal like he just signed with a buyout. So, I mean, he's going to you know, be able to make, what is it with the buyout? Like you said, it's 40. So
if he gets
40.
Yeah, if he gets bought out,
So, I mean, $20 million a year. I mean, I think that's a really good price for a team for a guy like Rizzo.
If that team is playoff caliber, I think it's a bad price. No disrespect to Riz. You know what? Yeah, I hope Riz, back to you, Rizzo. I hope there's some disrespect. Fuck the Dolphins. I think if it was like the Nationals or something, you'd be like, whoa.
Well, that wouldn't make sense.
If a team, right, that's what I'm saying. That's when you'd say, like, that's a ridiculous. But if a team's like, all right, we're playoff caliber, he's worth paying more for. Because if you said, well, he's got a bad back, he's older, like one of these years he's not going to be as good as he is. So there's like a ton of risk there. But again, like, if we're a playoff team and he's going to make us better in the playoffs, but he's that guy. Now, if you're getting Anthony Rizzo because you're like, well, he puts us over the top so that we get to the playoffs, I don't think that's I think you get Anthony Rizzo and you pay extra for him because, especially the Yankees, you saw him in 10 games. His OPS was over 1,000. Small sample size, but that's enough to win that market over. That's enough to win the front office over and be like, he's a fucking good Yankee. Why a good 10 games in October?
Yeah, I mean, he played 130 games this year. He does have some issues with his back, and those are probably not going to go anywhere. You just hope that they can be limited and you keep him on the field as much as possible. He's very versatile. You can throw him in multiple spots in the lineup, and just kind of watching some of the shit on the network talking about, oh, they're signing him because of they're bringing him back is a good sign to sign Judge because of the relationship that he has with Judge. But, you know, let's be very honest about this. You're not just going to sign back with a team because you have a friend on that team.
What, you didn't buy the Brizzo merch 6 years ago when it was like they're best friends and this is why the Cubs are good because they laugh at each other's jokes?
No. I mean that's kind of a joke to players, but
thank you.
It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't hurt because it's not hurting because they're close. It's because he's going to help them win games, and the Yankees, I'm assuming, didn't want to take a risk of losing Rizzo with an opportunity to have him in that lineup with Judge. So they went out there and they made it happen as quick as they could. But I could still very easily see somebody else persuading Judge to sign with their team. I don't know if it happens. I think he probably stays in New York. I think they're going to offer him what they need to offer him to get it done. I don't see him going to San Francisco. I don't see them doing near enough to be as good as they need to be to win that division. I think it's going to stay in the hands of the Dodgers or potentially the Padres. So yeah, I think he wants to play for a team that's going to have a legitimate shot to win a World Series, and I think he's much better off staying in New York. What are your thoughts on Judge?
Yeah, I love a dark horse team. I have a ton of thoughts on Judge. These thoughts are brought to you by Game Time, the exclusive ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Had tons of people use it, hitting us up on social about the great deals they're getting. I've been using Game Time all year. World Series, Broadway, comedy, couple concerts, Rage Against the Machine. Basically, at any point when I was like, I should go do that, we should go see that, we should go do something that requires me to spend money on a ticket because it's a nice fucking event, I'm using Game Time. And why? Because it's the exclusive ticketing partner at Barstool Sports. It's easy to use, amazing deals. Download the Game Time app, go to the account tab to create a login, and redeem code STARTING9 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Guaranteed. I got to throw that G word around a little bit more. A couple guarantees.
It makes people feel good to know there's a guarantee. Yeah.
I feel like you have to be a certain type of guy to be walking around handing out guarantees. If you're the type of guy who wants sales meetings or, you're like church head where you're like, I guarantee you, it's not going to rain this week. Guys that guarantee stuff.
Yeah, if you're willy-nilly with it and you're guaranteeing no rain, you can't trust a guy like that. But if you give people a reason to trust you and you throw around the guarantee, that's the guy you love. Okay, this guy always comes through. He guaranteed me this one time, whatever bullshit. He's never let me down. So
I have a take on Aaron Judge, but I'm just so compelled when this stuff comes up. I feel like Vince Scully was like, I don't have anything prepared. It happens. I see it, and then I think of something. Not like that, but just like you say this shit in my head, I'm just like, man, I'm interested to know this. Did anybody in that 16 clubhouse get close to guaranteeing anything? When you were in front of a mic, were you tempted to be like, listen, I'll fucking guarantee you guys I'm going to Cleveland, shutting them down? Or is that just such a no-no where it's in your head, you're like, do not ever dare say the G word? You wanted to fucking say it.
I guaranteed it in 2015 against the Pirates. That was a guarantee. 2016, I can't necessarily recall.
Was that
was
that a guarantee, or did you challenge the entire city of Pittsburgh to a fight? Was that a guarantee?
No, it was a guarantee.
Fight? Okay.
It was an absolute guarantee. I told everybody, I said, you give me one run, the game's over. And it could have, I could have given up a 3-run homer in the first. But it didn't happen.
I tell a story just like that. I was 13 playing against the fucking Oak Lawn East Side Blue Jays. I told the boys, I said, give me a couple of runs. So we share that in common. By the way, thank you. I appreciate the insight because there is this side of me as we do this show, and it's becoming smaller and smaller, but that boyish, excited Cubs fan who's staying up late watching West Coast games. He's still there. Don't get me wrong, but it's a national show, buddy. We're professionals here.
Yeah, it's hard to stay up and watch all those late games.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And it's hard to care. It is hard to care because it's this time of year I have no control over anything that happens. So, and as you get older in life, I feel as a sports fan, you become more detached. As a young kid, I would look at my father, I'd look at my uncles and be like, why do they not care? Like, they're just so ambivalent. The Bulls just won a championship, or like the Bears are terrible. And
They have so many other things going on.
it's like, yeah, you don't get it, kid. Like, they'll fucking let us down. We've already been let down in the future. We have traveled back now to the present to just like communicate to you, you're gonna get let down, kid.
Well, that's that mindset. That outlook is from experience.
Yeah.
If you're let down time and time again, you know that it's bound to happen again.
And I personally cannot.
Not a very. Yeah. I don't love that mindset because it's not very optimistic.
Oh.
But it might be more realistic.
I can't go to the winter meetings next month and tell the Miami Marlins why Pablo Lopez should go to the Cubs. They ain't gonna fucking listen to me. If I could, I'd go down there and broker fucking deals. I would. If fans could have some sort of influence, it was an open market, I'll go make some deals for the Cubs. Here's the reality. I can't. I just sit here, watch, just like everybody else, just like you. We're just waiting for news to come out. It's a good place to be, though. I like the strategy and the theory of, like, all right, so how these teams can get better. So we talked about Tyler Anderson with the Angels, obviously Rizzo, Teoscar Hernandez with the Blue Jays. Just really sharp stuff from the Mariners. I give them some credit real quick because we talked about them in the postseason. We've kind of died down on Mariners chatter. I think Mariners fans, by measurement of, like, population density, I'm not even making this shit up either. By, like, population density, Seattle Mariners fans are considered like the best national baseball fans. Like, a Seattle Mariner fan is most likely to consume broad MLB content. Where like
You think so?
No, it's like, yeah, like,
what makes you say that?
there's something about TV measurement and like social media engagement, some kind of study about like how active a geographic area is in certain MLB games when their team isn't playing. And so, like, per capita, I think Seattle's the best fan base for national baseball. Like, they're the most interested. Like, yeah, we'll watch a Braves game. You know, you can't get a Cubs fan to sit down and watch a Sox game. There's like, Cubs fans aren't walking around being like, oh, the Sox are on. Much less, you know, you had Cubs fans. We would get to the playoffs.
Yeah, but a Mariners fan watching a Braves game is different than a Cubs fan watching a Sox game. But I guess I see what you're saying. And for people way on the West Coast, maybe it's easier for them to watch the games that go east because it's earlier and it's harder if you go east to west. I don't know. Or maybe there's just savage baseball fans out there that don't give a shit how late they have to stay up to consume the content and watch the games, so they know exactly what happened around the league and they can talk about it with their friends and bullshit and brag and this and that. I don't know. But the fans that do it from April to the end of September and throughout October, those guys are animals. They're in a different league. And I don't know how many what's the percent of baseball fans that you think are like that will consume that amount of content? Is it like 10%?
Way less.
20%?
Way less.
Okay.
Way less.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, because when I say baseball fan, is someone who's like, yeah, I'm a baseball fan. I like baseball. And then there's people who follow baseball daily, whether that's because fantasy or, you know, you're just like into your team. And I think that comes and goes, right? Like, so when the team is good and when there's storylines and you're motivated and excited, it's like easier to follow it. And then, you know, like, I'm not saying anything new. There's guys listening to this that like want to follow their team, and they get to June and they're just like, nope, not doing it. This is too much. It's just too much. The
people that play fantasy baseball, I'm assuming that they're the ones that are watching, the majority of the ones that are watching every game. Because don't you have to in fantasy baseball? You set a lineup every night. That to me is just absurd.
The craziest.
I mean, it's amazing. I respect the people that do it, but fantasy football is hard enough. Setting a lineup once a week. Having to do that 7 days a week.
We saw that Yasiel Puig story.
Dedication.
That should have been
man.
Talking about bury the fucking lead here. That's my fault. That's not your fault. That's entirely my fault. You can get mad at me for that. I don't know if you
saw it before I text you about it. I mean, he just can't help himself. And I've said it before on our shows. some of the shit that he does. That's why he's playing in fucking Chihuahua, Mexico, or wherever the hell he's playing. He just can't. He's so talented. He's got so much talent. He's just an idiot.
No, I bring up,
It
it comes to mind because we're talking about fantasy. There's just a quick connection in my brain because I actually think Yasiel Puig betting 899 games in tennis, basketball, and football. By the way, basketball in July and August, what the fuck? What is that, like Bangladesh? What the fuck is he doing? My point is this. That fantasy baseball is harder than that. Keeping up with fantasy baseball is harder than placing 899 offshore exotic wagers through an illegal gambling operation. I think people who, and I have a lot of respect for people who play fantasy baseball. It's almost it's shameful for me when people reach out. They go, "Hey Carl, like we know you fucking talk baseball, dude. Like what do you think of Brendan Donovan versus Lars Nootbaar in the 12 p.m. matchup against Jose Quintana?" Like, whoa, guys! Like everybody calm down. I can't give you advice. Fantasy people crave it. Wind's blowing out.
Baseball is probably the hardest. You know, it's got to be the hardest if you're into gambling in a place that's legal to gamble. I would assume that baseball is the hardest sport to gamble on. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. What's your take on that?
I agree with you, but
just looking from a NBA.
No, okay. So baseball is because the fucking the difference between a favorite.
The best players don't have enough control in the game.
Correct.
Does that make sense? Like maybe the starting pitcher probably has the most to say about the outcome of the game. But then like on the offensive side, your best players, they might be up to the plate 3-4 times a game, maybe 5 times a game. It's such a small part of the game. So, whether you have, you got Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, that's just a fraction of the gameplay. So,
yeah, and to be honest with you, all that surface.
They could get dominated by a number 3 starter or number 4 starter. So I would think you go based on the starting pitcher first. And then you kind of have to, and then the strength of the lineup. But then, hey, Scherzer goes out and gives up 3 in the first, or I go out and give up 3 in the first, or whoever, and then some slapdick number 5 throws a fucking complete game shutout. So, and yeah, that's not going to happen every time. But how would you approach that? How do you approach that?
God, it's impossible, dude. It is. Betting baseball is like playing blackjack. Okay, so the best you can do is just create a fucking system, and there isn't a system. It's not like they have a card. I was like, underdog, on the road, lost 2 in a row, fucking, there's all these different. Well, they're great away on the West Coast during day games when. These fucking umpires are behind home plate. Like and even just saying that is a very, very surface level piece of.
Seems that way.
Yeah, like
and it seems
everybody's thinking like
trying
that.
To overcomplicate.
Oh, people, but if I did a gambling show this season with Rico called Hot Ice, he came on to talk Mets, and we talked like a little bit. And throughout the season, I would reference there's like a database I'd go to, and they would just give you like numbers and projections and stuff. It wasn't anything where it's like, they said this, I'm going to bet this. It's just good to know so I could say, they project this game to be, 8.5 runs. It's fucking 7.5. To get to those projections daily, they're running like tens of millions of simulations. These computers this warehouse or the servers that they're using to make these calculations have to be astronomically large. Now, maybe that's a stretch. I don't think it's NASA, but my point is to even get like a fucking average opinion that everybody can acquire by going to Google, you're tasking a supercomputer to run tens of millions of simulations on one game, and just as well as anybody fucking else that's listening to this, like you gotta add some bad fucking crab legs. And you're on the mound, and you got to shit your and take those projections and shove them up your fucking ass.
Shove them up your ass. Yeah, and it doesn't take into account the human element, obviously. And just one quick example: college football. The over/under for the Longhorns and TCU was in the mid 60s, I believe. And what was it? 17-10 was 17-10 final score, and it was 3-0 halftime. So part of me is like, fuck it. I don't know why these people even do it. Vegas knows what they're doing. They've got it figured out. It's all a sucker bet. But then I'm sure there was a large percentage of people that are like, no, this over is way too fucking high. These defenses are going to be lights out. They hate each other. It's going to be a highly contested game. But I don't know. I really, really don't know.
You don't want to have, when it comes to gambling, you definitely want to stay away from, I guess father-in-law syndrome or something, or like the guys that are like, well, I'll tell you what they're doing. I'll tell you what Vegas is doing. I'll tell you what's really going on here. They just do that. There are times, obviously, that happens. They manipulate it, but for the most part, like, flip a coin, dude. Like, who fucking knows? So for baseball, them saying all this volatility, uncertainty, you don't know this. A really good tenet or just basic principle is, like, just don't bet a favorite unless you absolutely know something. Like, don't bet a favorite unless it's your team that you've watched 10 fucking times in a row, or you know for a fact that, something's different when the roof's closed. Like, you have to have a very strong personal thing, in my opinion, to bet a favorite. And if you're betting -1.5, like, just go take your money and fucking. No, maybe not. I shouldn't say we're owned by Penn National. You guys check Sportsbook app, Action. We got all that stuff coming. Don't want to get in trouble for saying that. I think the value is on underdogs, but I guess my other point would be like, I was like, when we started this and you're like, yeah, I'm retiring and all this shit, I'm like, wait a second. You definitely never bet on baseball before. Like, you weren't in that position, and I am like, I got through corporate America, fantasy baseball of sorts.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about the way I would approach it. If I were to bet, and I don't feel like I have a good understanding or a good game plan on how to do it. After playing my entire life and knowing as much as I know about the game and all these players, I'm not the guy to ask.
Because you can think about
crazy
stuff
enough,
easily.
and you would think that I would be, or players would be, but it's just not the case. It's nuts. I would, if I were to do it, I would come up with my pick and then probably just do the opposite.
Oh, you fade yourself, man.
I would just go Oppo. Yeah,
usually
Oppo.com.
That's definitely phase 2 of a gambler's life cycle, where phase 1 you win a couple bets right away. You're like, whoa, dude, I'm up big. Did you guys know about this stuff? Mm-hmm. And then phase 2 is you've lost so many in a row. You're like, whoa, I can't pick any winners, so I'll just fade myself. And like, little do you know, you just turned a 7-2 day into 2-7 because you don't have. So this is what, like, you can't lose a TCU bet and then be like, well, fuck, I got to do something. You just make your bet and don't bet more than you have. Although I will say, pick out once or twice. Obviously, Super Bowl, Rose Bowl for me, Super Bowl. I'm trying to think of other big times. Maybe opening day where you just, you're unloading. I know months down the road, I'm unloading on January 2nd on that Rose Bowl. I don't know my side. I don't know who's playing. I just know that will be a day where I am like fucking locked and loaded. But you don't want to, I think this too, if you were to gamble like next baseball season, we'd have to figure out a way to track your wins and losses because Texas isn't legal. And I'm pretty sure Penn National would not want us to be like talking about it. But unless I tried to do a dog days of August contest this past summer where we'd open it up to everybody and you make a pick every single day. And at the end of the month, someone's going to have more units than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I think we couldn't.
Yeah, just to keep track of it like that.
I think you will suck right away, and then I think you'll get really good.
It doesn't have to be money. It can just be let's see what the picks would be like.
Yeah, like
I think I'd be fucking dog shit at it.
But it's not until it's like you're actually putting up your money that you're like, well, you think at the where that decision, it's your money, is completely different than like, well, I'll just pick and see how I do. Like, no, that ain't how it fucking works, man. You put your money up and you're thinking a little bit different at the end.
Yeah, but if I was gonna actually try and pick the games, I would want to do it to the best of my ability, as if I were putting money on it. Because then it's not as realistic. You can't gauge, the picks legitimately unless you're kind of all in and trying to figure out, okay, what's the right play here.
What's the worst punishment someone could give you? Like, it's not my fantasy league. Like, you lose, you have to run a 10K.
Like, so if
like, I'm not. That's a nightmare for me. I was like, what about doing stand up? My buddies are like, yeah, fuck you, dude.
I love stand up.
I would do that. I would do an hour-long fucking special tomorrow night before I even lace up.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. No, I would love that. So, actually doing stand up December 3rd for a big party.
Raise some money.
Fucking
Good.
excited about that.
Yeah, good. Hey, go raise some money, guys. Jake's gonna send that
No,
link
that's
out.
not what it's for. It's not a fundraiser.
Oh, it's just a party?
We can, yeah, it's for somebody's birthday party.
Like, you go get a chef, but instead you guys are gonna go do stand up.
So Friday night we rented out a theater, and it's gonna be anywhere from 80 to 100 people, which is kind of the smaller group party. And then Saturday, there's going to be like 300 or 400 people on Saturday. So Friday night is comedy night. And then Saturday, like, we're having special guests, and it's going to be cool. It'll be a great weekend. So a bunch of former players flying in.
Dude, when you said earlier, you're like, yeah, I made plenty of money to do cool shit. Like, what you just said is exactly what I'm thinking of. Like, we just rented this thing out.
The best part about it is that I didn't
custom.
have to pay for it. Yeah, I didn't have to pay for any of it. So I just have to show up.
Sorry, we're here. I'm gonna do an ad. No, I'm not. When you have a couple rich guys in a room and you guys all know you're rich, but you guys aren't sitting around being like, "Hey, I'm rich, you're rich," but like you guys all know you have money. How do you figure out? I think I asked this before, like team dinner, but say it's not a team dinner, like the boys are coming in town. I haven't seen everybody. Like, is there one guy who will assert himself and be like, "I'm paying for everything," or is everybody like that? Or are you guys all just like alpha males with your dicks out, being like, "I'm paying"?
Nah, nobody that I spend a lot of time with does that. You just kind of keep tabs in your head of like who paid last, and okay, like if someone pays for a trip, then you pay for the next one, or if somebody just paid for a big dinner or a get together, then you just don't let that guy pay for the next one. So it's, if you've got 5 or 6 or 7, people that you spend the majority of your time with, just be aware of that. Don't allow the same guy and his family to pay for everything, because, yeah, I mean, can they? Sure. Could I do that? Yeah, but it's nice when other people offer. Like you're not asking for them to pay for everything, and things get expensive regardless of how much money you have. If you're always paying for, 5 or 6 families to go to nice dinners or to games, Lackey will fly us on his plane to go to the Cowboys game quite often, and you pay for things, or you do the tipping so he doesn't have to. Just little feel like that, in the right places, like go a long way. Yeah, so we don't let one guy pay for everything all the time, because it ain't right, Just spread it around.
Well, I mean, let the record show. Episode 56, I essentially just asked you what it's like being rich. I couldn't have figured out a better way or timing to do that. But I'm always, I'm just interested in different perspectives and experience. I know what it's like when me and my buddies get together and fucking pay for shit. But
I mean, I have some money, sure, but dude, is
that uncomfortable?
No, I mean, because there's so many people that I know and that are that I've been around that make what I have, all the money I have, in 1 year, like just on a crazy level. I'm sure some of those people that are just, and it's mind blowing that in their career earning potential is not 10, 12, however many years. They're gonna make that money for the next 40 years.
Like they won't make
every
less.
single year.
Like they don't make less.
And so that's crazy. It's very crazy. I'm fortunate. I'm very happy with the career I've had and what I've done and what I'm continuing to do. But yeah, there's a huge amount of wealth out there, and you wouldn't think there's that many people that have that type of money, but you run into them quite often.
Yeah, the scale,
You know?
or my exposure, my awareness of it has changed wholesale within the last like even 2 years, I'd say. Yeah, you're in like your mid 20s or whatever. You know, your buddy shows up. Maybe he moved to New York to take an investment banking job. You haven't seen him in a year. He's at the fucking bar slinging drinks. Someone's going, man, dude, good to see fucking, good to see Robbie back home. And someone goes, yeah, you didn't hear he's working at Bear Stearns? Oh, they went under. He's working at fucking whatever, Foley, Lardner. He's making $300,000, and you're like, whoa, that guy's and you know, you only just have the perspective of what you're doing, which is, you know, at least for me, it was like, you're making $50,000 and paying off student loans, and you know, trying to find a fucking decent place to live with your buddies in Wrigleyville, and yeah, like the whole thing was about not spending money, going out and minimizing money, maximizing fun and stories and getting rowdy and shit. But as you get older, you just meet people, and I had this anecdote in my mind. We talk about like, hey, when you signed your deal, like, did you have anything you want to do? One of my best buddies, the guy who got married, we used to joke around when we were younger, like, dude, one of these days when one of us is rich, whoever gets rich first, it'd be like, we should just fucking do casual steaks at Smith and Walensky's like whenever we want, you know, or like we should just like, we'll just roll it in basketball shorts on a fucking Saturday, and they're gonna treat us fucking good, man, and we're gonna have the Wisconsin under, you know, we'll be sticking around, and you know, we would just joke around about that shit, and like, we do it. I don't pay for it. He does. He does very well for himself, but like, we very much do that. Not like every weekend or whatever, but I get a call from the big guy. Hey, what do you say? Tomahawks? Couple tomahawks? And it's like, dude, that bill's like $1,400 after a bottle of wine. And I know he can spend that money on 1,000 other fucking things, but it's not even about that. It's about the fact that, like, dude, we used to sit around and like try to meet older guys at bars that would be like, oh, these young guys can like help us like meet chicks and stuff, so that then those guys would like be like, oh, who needs a round of shots and drinks? And we'd be like, oh yeah, this is fucking Kristen, she's from
exchanging service for service.
Bingo. That's who we were.
No
and
doubt,
now
no
it's
doubt.
like, well, we're doing this, we're having common. So that's a long-winded personal story, but
yeah,
I want to fucking share it. This is our show. I'll share it.
Yeah, for sure. And I have friends that I would never let pay for anything, because and I never want them to feel guilty. It's like, you don't owe me anything. Like, we're going to go do these things, and you're going to be with me, and we're going to enjoy ourselves, and there's no guilt on your side. You don't owe me anything. It's more like what I was talking about before. It's more like your friends that like all have money, you know, so it's a different situation. You know, and one of my best friends from high school, like, that's how it used to be. Like, no, man, like, we're going on vacation. I want you with us. You're not paying for anything. Just enjoy yourself. Because I'm not going to enjoy myself unless you are. So let's not even worry about that. There's no strings attached. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to spend this money anyway, so why don't we just enjoy it together?
Right.
You know?
That's fucking great, man. And it's like, hey, you don't have to pay me back. Just like wait till people like boo me, or wait till people like stop asking me about baseball, and just like fucking then be there asking me about, or like, you know, be the guy that's like always got my back or whatever. Like, that's worth so much loyalty, or just people that care, like people that are fucking looking out for you. Shady Rays. Speaking of looking out for you, I'm looking out for our audience right now. Gift giving season's around the corner, and Shady Rays sunglasses offer an industry best combination of fit, style, and performance without the big brand price tag. It doesn't stop at the quality. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements, meaning if you lose or break your pair, even on the first day, they'll send you a new pair. Wear with confidence? Do you have a choice with Shady Rays but to wear with confidence? I don't think so. You can also feel good about yourself because 10 meals to fight hunger in America are donated with each purchase. 20 million meals have been donated to date. Look good, feel good. Tell your date that too. She says, I like your sunglasses. Say, good, I just fed a family of 10 that was starving. She might be a little confused, so tighten up that messaging. In the meantime, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their very best deal this season. Go to shadyrays.com, use code STARTING. For 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses, go to shadyrays.com, use code STARTING. 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Just fucking get the Christmas shopping out of the way. The gift Hanukkah, get gift shopping, whatever, anniversary, birthday. Everybody knows somebody who was born on December 24th, 5th, or 6th. And honestly, you feel bad for those guys. Get them a fucking extra pair of Shady Rays. 2 or more, 50% off, promo code starting. Polarized. I won't wear non-polarized glasses, too. That's not part of the ad read. That is just a personal transition out of that. I am too fucking good for non-polarized glasses.
Once you go to polarized, it's hard to go back. But I will say this: polarized aren't the best for baseball. I don't recommend them for baseball. Fishing, yes, no, it kind of messes with your depth perception, because when you look into water, and you can see through the water and see the fish. That's not a good thing for baseball. You don't want the ball to appear a little closer, a little further away. So look into that. I believe that polarized is not conducive for success on the baseball field.
Really? Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will notice that I look like I shit my pants. I'm just utterly surprised at this fact, because polarized to me is that's leading technology, and then to find out that in a situation where you would expect the precision to be elevated, oh no, my friends.
I don't think so.
Oh no,
I really don't think so. Like every time the Oakley guy would come into the clubhouse, and we're exchanging our old ones for new ones, or some of the older guys would get for free without even trading in an old pair. We would never get polarized lenses.
Damn. Meantime, the clubhouse guys just stocking the polarized glasses.
They've got the best ones.
Those are fucking falling off the back of a truck. Here, you go to eBay, couple pairs here, free shipping.
Hey, Oakley used to be the big dog in the game, and now you got all these guys wearing fucking Pit Vipers and the 100% and blenders, all these different things. Oakley's taking a hit. They need to step it up. Maybe Shady Rays is going to hop into the mix.
Fucking go, Shady Rays.
Maybe you'll see them on a big league field.
That'd be sick if I'd like to see casual eyewear make its way onto a major league field. Not the flip downs.
No, just like the square, like normal sunglasses. I don't think they will. Shady Rays needs to make the big fat lenses like everybody likes, to kind of cover the cheekbones, like the old school M frames.
Yeah,
like Dante Bichette, Larry Walker used to wear.
It's like modified aviators, I believe. I think that's street lingo for the glasses you're saying. Or we call them Walters in my house from the Big Lebowski. He's got the big Walters on. The glasses. Shady Rays, I will say this too. Now, this is not an ad read. Again, guys, this is just a personal transition out of an ad read to share some stuff that I find relevant. I would love to see a first baseman wear like gas station aviators, like a men's league. If you ever played men's league baseball.
Gabe Kapler wore them. Not playing, but he wore them.
Like gas station shades or aviators?
I don't know the brand, but they were aviators.
Is that dude as weird as people like he seems, or does he mean well?
No, he's not weird. You just got to get to know him. I mean, he's very there's not many people that pay attention to what you're saying in a conversation as much as Gabe Kapler does. He's very sincere. He's in the moment. Like, when you have a conversation with people, especially in a group, you see kind of the eyes wander a little bit. There's not as much eye contact. No, this guy's fully engaged from start to finish. He asks questions. He says hello to everybody. No, he's a great guy to interact with, and you can learn a lot from him. No, so I mean, has he done some weird things? Sure, of course, but we all have.
Right, we all have. Great point. And he's his own man. That's a leading characteristic in any dude. Like, there's only one Gabe Kapler. The fact that he would like let ice cream melt in his mouth and like spit it out or something, then like publicly was like talking about it as like a trick you guys should check out. It's just like you can't write that type of comedy. Like
No, and he's shredded. Absolutely shredded. Carnivore diet.
Does he fuck? Yeah. I know, you know what I mean. Like, I'm saying, like, is he like a?
I mean, I would assume.
Right, like you could tell, like that's a guy walking around with some like horny, not horny. He's like I'm horny. Like I'm walking around like, oh, I'm gonna have some sex tonight.
It seems like a guy that's got a pretty high level of testosterone. So if that's the case, like you and I are in that same boat.
Yeah, dude,
We're just always ready to go.
and that's people make fun of me for being bald. I'm like, you know what? I may not have hair, but I'll fuck right now if you ask me to. So that's just a trade-off.
I think that's a sign of high testosterone too.
Anger outbursts too. I can get.
Every now and again.
Yeah, you know what? I actually have been, and I think this project has helped mellow me. If you noticed, my vibes today are, I will say, I'm a pitcher coming off the mound, and before anybody can say anything, I'm going, I feel pretty good. Fucking stuff sharp. It's a standing desk.
That's got to have something to do with it. When you're upright, you get sunlight in your eyes early in the morning. It changes things. You're a little fidgety, but that's okay. You have energy. You probably slugged 32 ounces of cold brew coffee already this morning. You got a hot coffee today. Is it cooling down? What's the temperature like in Chicago for you?
So the coffee is cooling down more to room temperature, and I appreciate that.
40 degrees today?
Shade over, probably closer to 48. I think.
So we're working with the same temperature.
You're 48.
It's cold here, boy. It's cold. Let's see. It's 55 right now.
I appreciate you calling out the fidgetiness because I was going to bring something up about eye contact doing this show that's always fucking bothered me. My setup, I guess I'll put a picture on Twitter of this if anybody gives a fuck. Probably won't. Probably forget about it the second I get done telling the story. But my camera is attached to a monitor. And when we launched the show, I was like, hey, I need, like a place to do it. Like I need a fucking camera and stuff. So I got like they sent me, we'll send you what you need. I got a little box with a little camera on it. And that's the camera that I use. Now, the problem with this little fucking camera is that in order for me to appear like I'm making eye contact to you, I have to stare at myself. If I look if I look at you or I'm paying attention to you. Now,
so you're looking at me right now.
Yeah, now that I'm
you can see
yes.
we're making eye contact.
Yes. I'm looking at you, we're making eye contact.
I'm looking, yeah.
It's super awkward for me because in my peripherals I can see myself talking and stuff moving. I see time recording in the top right. I have the ad reads in the bottom right. I have a couple of can't miss notes on the bottom left. And so I want to always be paying attention, but then in the back you're just like, all right, don't fucking miss this or you don't want to miss that. But it's good feedback fidgety because when I came in today, I was like, you know what? I've been listening to the last couple episodes and I have been excited. I have been very like.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, but like.
And I'll say this: your vibes in the group chat are always good. It's like, it's a positive thing. It kind of picks people up. When you get texts from certain people and you're not having the best day, and they weren't even necessarily trying to text you to motivate you or to get you to feel a certain way, but it helped.
Yeah.
Your texts do that.
Appreciate that.
So, yeah. But the eye contact thing is a little weird because I want to look in the camera like I am right now, but then when you're talking, like I look at your square.
Yes.
Because I feel like, we're remote, but I feel like that's polite. But then I'm not looking at you, so I need to. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
we have to figure this out,
man.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe we'll have a bigger, maybe we build a fucking thing that looks like we're standing on a beach or something. I don't know. Like, I do think I do have a tremendous amount of conviction that we're doing our best. I know for a fact that ain't no fucking like, if I'm seem a little scatterbrained at times in these shows, especially recently, man, things are fucking crazy at Barstool. Like today, right now, there's a fucking live. Dave Portnoy's in Northern Illinois University right now in DeKalb with Big Cat doing a fucking.
What's he doing?
Football show, tailgate party. So it's like Monday, I come into the office. Yeah, that was the weekend. I was like, oh, how you getting out to Northern on Wednesday? Like, fucking what? Getting where? Like, oh yeah, you didn't. They have the college football show, and we're gonna go and. It's just like this is how we're like stuff just comes up. You're like, it's not on my schedule. I didn't even know. I'm not paying attention to that. Like we had fucking whatever. Sure, we'll go to Northern. It's like fucking 2 hours away. that's like I'll go.
Nice little hike,
I'll
hike down the highway.
I should go. I should definitely.
Well, Big Cat just got the key to Toledo too, didn't he?
Oh, how
Because
about
he won a national championship with Toledo in NCAA football.
2014.
And because NCAA football is not a thing anymore, or they just brought it back, or something weird like that. Because I used to absolutely crush NCAA football.
Who was your team? Did you?
Dude, this was we would play heavy in 2006, like 2007. So you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a couple teams that were just crazy at running the option. I think one could have been like Ohio State, and one was Virginia Tech, maybe Florida or Florida State. But I sucked at the game other than running the option, and I felt like it was kind of bush league and cheating to run the option over and over and over, especially if you had a quarterback that had like 99 speed. But that's what I went with, and I was really good. And I think the last night I told the story before how our equipment manager got axed because he didn't do the visiting team's laundry. I think we were up that night, kind of messed up playing until like 5 a.m, and we had a game the next day. But yeah, good for Big Cat. That was cool. I got a fucking key to the city. Looked like it was made out of glass and a nice little plaque. And he honored his word and gave him the damn key.
Yeah, great stuff from Big Cat. And then my question is, and this is always my question when you look at Big Cat doing like crazy stuff, right? Like Toledo gives him a key to the city. Does that say more about Big Cat or does it say more about Toledo?
Probably Big Cat. Because I don't know that Toledo has all that much going on, but I think that it just speaks to kind of what Big Cat has done and what he's built, and Toledo wants to recognize that. Obviously, he's got a huge platform, and it's good for Toledo to do stuff like that because now I don't remember the last time someone talked about Toledo, but it's big for them.
Sounds like it'd be down by you, Toledo. That sounds like a Texas town. From Toledo.
I've only been to Toledo. I've only been there once, and it was to play Inverness, which is a beautiful golf course. We had an off day in between. We were playing the Indians at the time, now the Guardians. We drove, it was like me, Hab, Zach Davies. We drove from Cleveland to Toledo, played there all day, and then played Detroit the following day. Outside of that, I don't know anything about Toledo.
Every now and then my dad will say, "Holy fucking Toledo." That makes me laugh very hard.
What's that from? Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. What is Holy?
Because I think it was Holy Tamale's another one.
Know.
Holy Tamale, Holy Toledo. I like Toledo. Generally, I like the idea of Toledo. I believe it's on Lake Erie, which is a heavily polluted lake. I'm sure the waters around Toledo are very distressed, but yeah, like
no bueno.
They're not jumping off the boathouse.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't get in the Inner Harbor too in Baltimore.
Really?
Probably not a good spot.
What, the cadavers or
Yeah.
just generally I mean, what the fuck's going on here, guys?
Some of that.
So, construction. I honestly think Lori Lightfoot is.
You sound amazing.
Thank you. The acoustics, the standing desk, because
It's good.
my voice
It's good.
on a standing desk is taller, so I'm sure that makes a difference. We have some baseball news. I think. I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation in this show right now.
It's quite good. I mean, there is some baseball stuff. I mean, we kind of want to get back to a little bit of this Carlos Rodon.
What a
talk.
fucking teaser, pal. Here we are 45
Yes.
minutes later. Hope you guys enjoyed the tour. Exit on your
Yeah.
left, cocktails on your right. We're talking Carlos Rodon. What have you heard?
Well, I'm just what I've been reading. It seems that the Orioles could be a potential suitor for the Ace, and I love that. I love hearing that because he would be an amazing guy to bring in to actually be able to slot in a number one at the top of your rotation and take a little bit of pressure off some of the guys in that rotation. Because if you don't bring in a guy like that, if you just bring in, like, let's say a number 3 or maybe a couple number 4s, there's still a significant amount of pressure on on the guys in that rotation for somebody to step up and be that guy. So to eliminate that, yes, you still want the guys that you have to take the next step forward in the progression, but you don't want to put all that pressure on, one or two of those young guys to get asked those questions all year about, being the ace, or do you think you can be the ace, or whatever. Like, bring in Rodon, let him be that guy, and then just naturally progress to being at your peak, wherever that might be. Maybe they fall in as a number 2, or you have a couple guys that can be 3s. But that would be a significant move for the Baltimore Orioles.
One of the big reasons I would say teams argue against big contracts with like a free agent, talking to the agent. So say I'm the Orioles and I want to talk to Carlos Rodon. I'm talking to Scott Boras. What a fucking card Boras has now, and I don't even know if he did it intentionally, but now that you have these short-term deals, hey, Rodon went, signed a massive fucking deal, and went out and delivered for a year. So any talk of, well, is it going to be different when he gets a big deal and he's the guy and they expect him to perform? Because I feel like that's where teams could come in and be like, we give him, like, he's just not proven. And so the fact that Scott Boras can market Rodon and now other clients after they have a short-term massive AAV year with all the pressure, I think that supports the Orioles being like, listen, he's already fucking done it. This is the guy, right? Fuck your projections and all that stuff. He's actually succeeded under the exact circumstances you're looking to bring him.
Oh, he's absolutely he's probably the only top tier free agent arm that I could see them getting. And then you've got I don't even know his name, but there's a guy from Japan that's probably going to be signing with the team.
Yep.
You've got,
respect you for not even trying to say his name, because I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but you've got Bassett, you got Tyone, you got Taijuan Walker, you got Evaldi, Andrew Heaney, Jose Quintana's a name that's out there. So yeah, those all those arms would help the Orioles, no question about it. Vast majority, or a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge that could that is valued for a team like Baltimore. But if we're talking like the absolute top tier, I mean, it's Verlander, DeGrom, Rodon. I mean, those are probably the 3 like legit ones out there. So if you could get one of those guys, I mean, you're not going to get Verlander, you're not going to get DeGrom. And look, their payroll is probably going to be for 2023 around $40-ish million. So there's plenty of money to spend for at least 1 or 2 like marquee guys. And let's not take a step backwards. Let's add a guy here and there. Let's help Brandon Hyde out a little bit. Give him something to work with. I mean, they got some nice young players, but don't just bring in like a veteran. Bring in a veteran or 2 that are still like in their prime, that are still ready to come in and dominate. And Rodon's absolutely ready to do that, because that division's not getting any easier, even though the Orioles are getting better. 31 more wins than they had in 2021. But it's very easy to take a step back in this league, especially when you see the teams around you are making significant moves. Like if you're not able to keep up with those other teams as far as signings, just because you had a productive season and you made some progress doesn't mean it's going to transition over to 2023. Like that definitely doesn't mean that. So I'd like to see Baltimore be active. I know their fans would, having played there and just having been in the AL East for, 4 or 5 years and just kind of getting beat up. And there were a couple years we were okay. But we would get stretched pretty thin, and we were just overmatched in certain areas. And if the Orioles don't do something, that's probably going to remain, the story moving into next season.
Yeah, we're here with the Orioles. Let's talk a little bit of strategy with them. You bring up the payroll, and yeah, with your experiences there, it's great insight because you lived through it. And a big MO with the Orioles, if you go back 10, 15 years, it's drafting pitchers at the top, not being able to develop these guys, going all in on, trying to build up a homegrown pitching staff that can go out and compete over an entire season against the Yankees and the Red Sox. And we're talking about, this is like philosophy stuff from the height of like the Yankees. Like, this is while Derek Jeter's still playing and the Orioles being like, how do we stack up and match up and kind of like, what's our path forward here now? Also kind of around the time then when they drafted Machado, you hit a home run on Machado. Weeders behind the dish. J.J. Hardy had kind of settled in as like a solid guy coming over from the Brewers. So like the Orioles had enough pieces, and so for them, they're like, our differentiator is definitely going to be in the homegrown starting pitching, and specifically with very talented college arms, where like college arms, but guys that project at the top of rotations, not safe picks. A lot of guys that are like, yo, this guy's supposed to be a fucking top dog. And so now where the Orioles are at, after obviously struggling with that, it's a very hard fucking philosophy to execute. And so this is an extremely interesting offseason to me with the Orioles because, like your point, dude, they fucking improved 31 games. A lot of that's momentum. A lot of that's a great story. A lot of that's the boost Adley gives you, the boost the fucking, Mancini. Like, this is Mancini's last year. Like, there's all these little things, all of them, little things, all these little factors. It's great. It's a great launching point for a season. And so you can't go into next season and expect, if you go into next season and expect the Orioles that's there, you're fucking stupid. You'd be absolutely stupid. So here's what I like. This is what I've heard. I've heard the Orioles are interested in making a play for one of the 4 shortstops. Then they'd either like move Mateo to the outfield, trade Cedric Mullins, trade Mateo with Mullins, package up some of the young talent that hasn't really proven itself yet to just be like, fuck it, we'll get good right now. We'll go get some starting pitching right now. We don't have to spend it. That would be cool because a lot of teams, like once you get your prospects, you're just like super conservative to figure out like, are 3 of them going to be MVPs? I like aggressive teams that are like, fuck it, we got this. We're going to move this guy. This is the path forward. We'll be aggressive. A lot of teams don't do it. A lot of teams don't have the balls. There's a long fucking monologue on the Orioles.
No, I love that. And, they got rid of, obviously they got rid of Mancini. They got rid of an arm or two. So, a couple of the guys that were there to kind of propel them to, 31 more wins aren't going to be there. So.
And do you build around Ryan Mountcastle because you had success with him last year, or do you look at him and say, "This we got as far as we could," in Austin Hayes and like a number of these position players that are gritty, grindy guys. Gunnar Henderson's legit. We're doing the Orioles. We just stay on him. Gunnar Henderson's fucking legit. Let's just stay in the AL East for a second. The Rays, I thought it was interesting. John Daniels, after leaving the Rangers and getting fired, is now like an advisor or some shit with the Rays. Don't really care about the Tampa Bay Rays necessarily as much as I think John Daniels, after spending a year at the Rays, is just going to be a fucking home run hire for whatever owner's smart enough to be like, hey, dude, you just did a year. It's like getting fired from a college football program and Bill Belichick hires you to come be a fucking defensive assistant with the Patriots or something. I feel like he's always got some fucking guy like home run situation for John Daniels. That was my note for the Rays. That's it. I got fucking notes for everybody, man. I'll go through it if you want me to. We don't have to. It just what else is on your mind?
Well, no, I'm just kind of just watching and waiting. I want to see these guys get paid who have waited a long time and had success and are well deserving, and looking forward to seeing what teams are willing to do to compete at the highest level. And I know there's 5 to 10 teams that probably won't do anything, and it's the same story. We're going to develop, and we're going to see what our prospects are capable of, and we're going to develop our arms. And that's a great concept. But are they actually capable of doing that? So it's going to be the usual suspects. You're going to see the same 8 to 10 teams make moves and better their team. You're going to see about the same amount of teams that aren't going to do anything. And there might be a couple in there, 6 or 7 teams that sign a couple guys because they feel like they have to. They have some money to spend, but end up not getting a whole lot better. But that doesn't always mean that the guys that sign, the biggest name guys, are going to win the World Series or have a deep run in October, because we've seen that before. I'm not exactly sure what the Cleveland Guardians did last offseason, but they were the youngest roster in Major League Baseball and had a pretty successful season, managed by Tito, who won Manager of the Year for the third time, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, I might be the dumbest guy around, but I know what it takes to win a championship. And if you are one of those teams, you know that there's a handful of teams already right off the bat that aren't even going to be in competition with you. So that's a good feeling if you're a fan of one of those teams who's willing to spend money, who's willing to do what it takes to figure out how to get to October.
Speaking of empty, make sure you guys stay full, and let's talk about our friends at Every Plate. 'Tis the season for sales and the perfect time to try America's best value meal kit. Add Every Plate to your holiday shopping list and snag a great deal on affordable, crowd-pleasing meals. Crowd-pleasing. That might be one of my all-time favorite descriptors, and I didn't even realize it until I'm reading this copy. Like, how would you? It's a real crowd pleaser. Every Plate is 25% cheaper than grocery shopping, which means you can put the money you save towards gifts for family, friends, and even yourselves. Save some money, take the 25%. Every Plate recipes feature high-quality produce and ingredients, or else I wouldn't be reading this. This is high-quality shit here, guys. Don't make me use the G word. Fuck it. I guarantee this is high-quality shit. Choose between 21 weekly recipes and their ever-changing menu, and even swap proteins and sides to your liking. Look, it's a time of year. What are you guys doing? You're working, you got deadlines, calendar year's coming up, boss is hitting you. And where are we at on the budget? Where are you at on the expense reports? Where are you guys at on the fucking PowerPoint? Old ladies nagging you. I thought you said this December we'd go see a show. I thought you said you'd take less. Bro, help yourself out. Go to Every Plate. Go to Every Plate. Get the fridge stocked. Take care of the simple things in life. We're making this as easy as possible for you guys. Come home, knock this shit out. Get your first box for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com, everyplate.com, and entering code STARTING149. That's code STARTING149 at everyplate.com. If you send me a receipt, I swear to fucking God, if you send me a receipt of you using this STARTING149, you DM it to me on Twitter, I'll send you we'll do, what do you want? You want a happy birthday video for a brother? Seriously, what do you want? A virtual pitching lesson? I'll give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a lot. We'll figure that out. Every Plate. Go to everyplate.com, promo code STARTING149.
There's a note on Harper, who's going to end up having Tommy John surgery a little bit later than the Phillies would have liked, but, they played in the fucking World Series, so there's really nothing you can do about it. I think they were trying to do everything they could to avoid Tommy John surgery, but in order to get him back into right field, like they so desperately want, he's going to have it done. So he's probably going to be at DH for a good part of 2023. Because as you know, with Tommy John, that's a surgery. Even though he's a position player, it takes a significant amount of time, anywhere from 10 to 14 months usually. But he'll be able to DH. He should be able to start the season on time. And, that's he's a left-handed hitter, and that's going to be his bottom hand. So I would just expect that to take him a while to get back to full strength. And that's a pretty serious surgery, but it's significant. It's a big story. But he's like superhuman, man. I don't think he's gonna have a hard time with his rehab. He's one of the hardest workers this game has seen. But yeah, it's a tough deal for the Phillies. But again, in order for him to get back to where they want him, which is in right field, it just has to be done.
Do people know, listening to this, at Tommy John, they snip a tendon from your forearm and then reattach it.
There's a couple
elbow.
places
they bypass it.
Yeah, and I believe there's one that's maybe in the hamstring, kind of behind the knee, that they can also use. And if you put like your middle finger and your thumb together, like if you have that little tendon that kind of pops out, if you have it that pops up, I think that they can take that one. But if you don't have that, from my understanding, is they can take one of your hamstring ligaments behind the knee and use that. and from having a conversation with Tyler Glass now, I think that what they did with him is they now have this type of like carbon fiber, like reinforcement deal where it's almost like a mesh that they can, they reinforce the ligament and they wrap it, I think, which makes it even stronger. So, man, it's like the longer you can wait to get this type of procedure, the better. But if you're going out there and you have a 50% tear in your UCL and you're just in constant pain, there's really no way around it because it's not impossible for a UCL to repair itself with certain types of treatments like stem cell and PRP, but it's not likely that it's going to re-heal completely. So surgery is pretty much the only option for a significant tear, and that's obviously what it appears to be like with Harper. But, all the best to him. I know he's going to recover quick, and he'll be just fine. But it's a big deal.
You say what was the material? Titanium wrap?
Carbon fiber.
Carbon
it's
fiber?
Like maybe like a graphene carbon fiber, like mesh or some sort of carbon fiber thread. Yeah.
Like SWAT team, Delta Force, fucking throw the carbon fiber on.
But super, almost like the layers are so like microscopic.
So,
it's obviously a very strong material. And so somebody who's having that procedure done now is much more likely to not have an issue like that again. It's not impossible, but in the past you've seen guys that have had one Tommy John. A lot of them have ended up to have another one, which, man, the mental like anguish and stress that it must be like to have to go through that process again after grinding it out and battling back from a first Tommy John and to have another one is rough. So, with the advancements in technology and modern medicine, like it's really incredible to see what they're able to do for these athletes.
My very good friend from the baseball team, if you'll notice, I have my college jersey standing behind me. Subscribe to YouTube so you could relive my glory days. One of my closest friends from the team, he had Tommy John. He just described it as he's like, I'm in a prison. I'm literally in prison right now. I can't do anything I like. Fucking nothing matters to me. I don't give a fuck about class. All I want to do is get on the mound and pump fucking fastballs. Like that's my favorite thing to do. This sucks. Because I didn't think about this until you brought it up because it was like, dude, man, come on, man. Like, I think I was razzing you or something. Like, I know you can still go out and pitch for us or you can go get some outs. And you're like, yeah, dude, I can't. Like, not trying to be a hard-o, but, like, I can. The problem is, like, is it worth the fact that I could just tear my fucking groin clean off and not walk for 8 months? Like, is that worth? No, it's not. And that's where I'm
at. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Like, it clicked, like the light bulb went on in my head where I was like, these guys get hurt and it sucks. Like, no one's ever thinking about the fact that, like, you're got to deal with that, or like the athlete himself has to deal with whatever the fuck's going on in their life. Now still, is that enough for a guy like me to give you complete sympathy? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe
it's
not.
Something to consider.
That's okay. But you're right. Like, because the shoulder, like, doesn't move the way that I used to be able to move with it. Like the rest of your body takes on more of the burden and more of the stress, and you start applying more effort to certain areas of your delivery than you might need to, and things happen, But while you're out there, you're not gonna prevent that sort of effort. It's like, fuck it. If I go out there and blow something out, I blow something out. I'll deal with it after the fact. You're never worried about it to the point where it's going to prevent you from, exerting the amount of effort that you need to try and get the job done. But, those are just possibilities of the job, and you deal with it.
Like, I got to lose weight. Very easy way to do that. Just join one of my buddies' pickup basketball teams twice a week. I'm no fucking way. There ain't no 15 pounds I got to lose. It's worth the risk of an ACL tear. Here comes Carl on crutches.
And then next thing you know, you gain 20 more pounds because you can't walk.
All right. Now here comes the mental stress and the depression and all the stuff that settles in. And no thanks, guys. I'm fine. I'll walk to work. I'm grounded. I'm healthy. I'm balanced. I have one last note here. Probably miss some big news. If I said something mean about your team, get over it. We got to work on that with our audience because people, it's a national baseball show. Like, I'm not breaking scoops on the Minnesota Twins here. We will talk about how they fit into the broader picture. But you're in the audience. You're listening to this starting 9. Not even if you like this show. You just have a
hit the
strong
subscribe button, even if you don't like us.
Yeah, just like I don't think, and this might be a little different because I don't know I didn't work with our predecessors, the people who did baseball before us, obviously Jared and Dallas. But very good relationship with Jared. I thought, but we don't have like a working, this is how we used to do it thing. So just in my experience, to show that I started Redline Radio, the show I did. I think I just did my 7th baseball season with it. That's a very like. You're in the audience. We're fucking buddies. Like we talk. There's questions and mailbags and like a bunch of collaborative shit and parties, and people say stuff like, "Hey, dude, you should put this fucking shirt on sale." And then it's like an hour later, I get to send a link back and be like, "Hey, good idea. That shirt is on sale. Be one of 5 people to fucking buy it." So that is just my very direct notice, disclosure, I guess, or kind of just like me telling people listening to this that, you got ideas, or if you like the show, or if you got stuff you want to share, segments, which reminds me, somebody once reached out and said, I very much would like, it's very interesting when you and Jake talk about little tips or tricks that you would tell yourself when you were pitching, or just like something to remind yourself that allowed you to.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of those. We'll break a bunch of that out. Yeah, if that's what people want to hear. We could talk about that for hours.
8A. My last name's Sturk, so my nickname was Sturkey. So the hillbilly pitching coach would just say Sturkey, which turned into Durkey. So he'd just say, "Hey, Durkey, fucking Durkey." And so I'll leave you with one. He'd say, "You gotta fucking control the running game." He'd say, "Yeah, fuck, coach, I know." And he'd say, "God dang, it's a fucking 1-1 to home plate, 1-1." And he'd say, "You got it." And he'd say, "Pinch those fucking nuts and let it rip." And I just laugh. I'd be in the fucking set, and I would just be like, good base run or something. You're looking down, you're changing your looks or something, and you're aware it's a fucking better base runner than the other guys. And it's just funny because you're like, I'm touching the rosin bag, and you're like, all right, dude, fucking pinch those fucking nuts and let's fire it in there. You're just like, whatever that little fucking thing is, but that helps you do the job. Pinch your fucking nuts and let it rip.
Yeah, and you never know where it's going to come from. It could come from a fucking gym teacher or a minor league coach, a high school coach. There's so many little phrases like that I've used throughout my career that have helped, and maybe from somebody that's not even all that influential in your life, it just sticks with you. You repeat it to yourself in big moments where you need to kind of bear down and have focus, and for whatever reason they work.
What was the thing you said last episode? Mental something manifests itself in physical behaviors. You said something that I wrote it down. I made a face. I meant to bookmark it. It was if it wasn't if you fucking made that up on the spot, you and I need to sit down and start printing T-shirts. Not Marshalls. I'm talking the type they sell at like a New York bodega. I mean, we got fucking loads of material. If you just rip that shit, I'll find it. And bring it back for next episode.
Yeah, try and remember what it was.
It was something about like once the connection between mental and the physical, and it was like once the negative gets into the mental, it was like negative mental stuff manifests itself.
Oh yeah. So
even more negative, like physical.
For sure. So I was probably alluding to the fact, like, if you're out there and you're saying, don't throw this here, or I can't throw a ball, or whatever, you're going to do that. Like that's that's kind of how mental like self-talk translates into physical errors or physical mishaps, and I've seen it all the time, and that's where the little phrases or the positive self-talk just helps more than you can even understand. And I'm having a big issue with that with our young players, because they get so nervous to face a kid that's like 5'9", or that looks like he's going to hit a home run. And they screw themselves psychologically and mentally before they've even competed against said player. So it's a real thing, man. Thoughts, there's no way around it. Thoughts will translate to physical outcomes. And I've seen it my whole career, and I see it with players who can't have success on a consistent basis. It's because they just don't trust themselves, and they're telling themselves the wrong things before they take a swing or before they field a ball or throw a ball or shoot a basket or throw a pass, whatever it is, across all sports. It's very true.
Don't be afraid, right? Just fucking.
No.
Worst thing that happens is you can fail, and then you just get in line with like everybody else, which has always been a good like. Honestly, what is the worst thing that could happen? What that girl says, get out of here. I don't like you. You're disgusting. It's like, yeah, I know. I just wanted to double check you.
Yeah, on to the next one. Yeah, there's a million of them out there. A wise uncle told me once, is like, for every 10 out there, there's 10 guys tired of fucking her. So just keep that in mind.
This is starting 9. This is probably the most fun I've had show. I just fucking love the off season. It's like this fucking ship is taking off. I said Vinny Pasquantino is going to be on today. I lied.
He's
Vinny
in London.
He's in London. He was playing blackjack last night. I was like, dude, do me a favor and just fucking double your next 9. He's like, don't make me do this. Yes, please. He'll be on next week. So will, I think, no. I'm going to be clear. Next week's Thanksgiving. We will be back on Tuesday morning with a regular show. I believe we'll have Vinny Pasquantino on. I keep talking this guy's name up. People are like, the fucking guy from the Royals. Yes, that guy from the Royals.
He better be good.
I'm telling you, this kid is fucking electric. Wears like silk shirts, but not unironically. He's like an extra from Sopranos. Then Thursday is Thanksgiving. Tentatively, I would like to do this. I would like to do a Thanksgiving holiday episode. We'll record it, I believe, on Wednesday, where we talk about stuff we're thankful for in the game of baseball. I'll send you some prompts for that. I think it'd be a nice little 30, 45-minute conversation.
Hey,
for our guys that got to get in the car and fucking drive on Thanksgiving. You got to go pick up the girl, drive to her meeting people for the first time. Terrible situation. Jake and I should be there for you on Thursday, barring some technological. No, we'll be there. We'll be there.
You will be there, and if you got 2 or 3 young kids in the back seat crying, throwing up in the car, your wife, your fiance, your mother-in-law's in the passenger seat, just in your ear, grab your AirPods, throw it in. We'll give you a nice little show to ease the pain.
Over here. And after that, I meant to tell you, Matt Mervis is officially a friend of the program. Matt Mervis is the guy I've been talking your ear off about, which I want to start doing more of this stuff. I want to talk about. I was like, come on the show. We got to tell your story. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to. I have a funny inside story with him, too. We'll get to all this later. This is bad teasing. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Starting and subscribe to everything. Jake, you're the best. Great show today, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Thanks, guys, for listening.